We will go ahead and get started today. As I said earlier, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone for our early summer or early winter edition of our global town hall. It is a pleasure to see everyone. And as Diraj is modeling for us, feel free to use the chat throughout the town hall. He's just come out of hosting our first ever study abroad program in India, which has been a smashing success. So we are very grateful to him for his work on that. Thank you, Diraj. Also, as a quick shout out here at the beginning, for those of you who might have been reading too fast to notice, Joe Byrne had a byline in the public affairs newsletter that went out about Father John's recent induction to the University of Cambridge, St. Edmund's College. That ceremony and festal feast that accompanied his induction was a smashing success about a week and a half ago. But if you did not check out that article that Public Affairs picked up for the entire university community by Joe, please do so. And thanks for the applause for congratulating her on a piece well written. We are going to jump in today to our headlines segment, and we are going to start with Zhao Ying in Beijing. Zhao Ying. It sounds like a rhyme, Zhao Ying in Beijing. Please, the floor is yours. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Michael. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Beijing. Sorry we missed the last global town hall, and it was during our Spring Festival holidays. Since then, we have been busy with a lot of changes in the office. In addition to rebranding, we're currently in the process of hiring a program coordinator. In terms of events, in April, we hosted 2 Notre Dame exchange students in our office. In collaboration with the admissions office, we hosted a yield event for newly admitted undergraduate students and their parents. We also invited the exchange students and the local alumni to join the event. I'm happy to share that because of the productive conversations, one of the admitted students confirmed his offer after the event. Right now, our team of 2 is gearing up for the NDPKU Beijing Summer Philosophy Program. It's our first study abroad program in China after COVID. We're very excited to welcome 10 students in Beijing later this month. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Notre Dame Rome. Not only did they host a delegation from Beijing University with amazing hospitality, they also shared knowledge on sustainable architecture from local experts. Thank you very much to the team. Now let's hear from Dublin.
Hi, everyone. In March, we produced a sold-out concert lecture at the Royal Irish Academy of Music in partnership with the Irish Traditional Music Archive. The event featured some of Ireland's best traditional artists, bringing 6 Irish paintings and drawings to life with music and dance. Later in the month, during Holy Week, our Dublin Spring students went on a pilgrimage to Rome for Easter, where we joined up with Notre Dame students from London, Rome, and Galway. I'll now turn it over to our newest teammate, Carolina Bolivar, who is interning with us for the next 10 weeks. Carolina is going to give us a quick summer in Dublin update.
Thanks, Maggie. We are 3 weeks into summer here in Dublin. By August, we will have welcomed 172 students to Ireland across 5 programs: the Irish Internship, the Dublin Summer, the Engineering Summer, and the Mendoza Summer programs, wrapping up with the pre-college program. I'm excited to work with students across all 5 programs before I head to Columbia University this fall to work towards a Master's of Education to become a school counselor. Now let's hear it from Catherine in Hong Kong.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually with Jonathan here in Hong Kong. We just arrived from Taiwan. We have a great meeting in Taiwan, meeting with different university, company, and looking for research opportunities for our students, internship opportunity for our students. Then we also have a 9 GP student in Hong Kong currently, working in different company. We just finished an orientation. And 1 student is also doing an engineering research in Hong Kong. So lots going on here. And then Jonathan and Hong are both in Hong Kong now. And then we'll start on a few days of meeting with, different university and then partners and then benefactor and so on. So next, I want to pass to ISSA. Thank you.
Hello. The ISSA team has been working hard to support our incoming international students for the summer and fall 2024 terms. We've issued U.S. immigration documents and provided advising support for more than 800 incoming undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. Throughout the spring 2024 semester alone, ISSA worked to issue immigration documents for more than 750 students to facilitate their work authorization applications for employment in the United States. This past spring, ISSA hosted more than 50 events for our international community with over 1,000 attendees. Finally, the International Visitor Housing Program, currently featuring 2 apartments at the Overlook, will have accommodated 27 scholars by the end of this fiscal year. In August, the program will expand to include a 3rd apartment, enhancing our capacity to foster collaborative global research at Notre Dame. Jerusalem is up next.
Thank you, Zaina, and hi, everyone. This past semester, Notre Dame Jerusalem and Notre Dame Rome partnered together to develop a unique course entitled Perspectives on the Holy Land from Rome. The course is taught by Daniel Schwacke, an adjunct faculty member of Avram Berg, and we look forward to offering the course in Rome again this fall. The Schlindwein Family Tel Aviv University Notre Dame collaboration grants were offered this spring. We have a number of joint proposals for both research projects and workshops and look forward to announcing the awardees very soon. We have a very busy summer prepared. NDJ and Notre Dame Kylemore, as well as Keough School and Kroc Institute faculty, will run 2 workshops at the behest of the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa. The workshops held at Kylemore and Tantur will separately bring together Palestinian and Israeli scholars and practitioners in order to discuss the future of their respective societies. And in August, we will partner again with faculty from the Mendoza College of Business and the Pulte Institute to host the Reimagining Business Excellence Program. We received a significant USAID grant that I know that Michael shared with everyone in the network to run this program this year, which will be hosted in South Bend. And now to Kylemore.
On May 2nd, we successfully sent off our Galway Study Abroad Spring Semester students with a very special barbecue organized by Ecological Science student Kevin Buck. The menu included mac and cheese from his own recipe and smoked brisket. During the spring at Kylemore, we also hosted the Nocturne Weekend, which celebrates 100 Irish STEM students awarded academic scholarships. We hosted the Glynn Family Honours Programme with Michael Pippinger during spring break, as well as a Remembering Seamus Heaney conference organized by Professor Clíona Riordan of KNIS. We are especially proud of having welcomed our first 3 writing residency awardees, granted in partnership with the Irish Writers' Centre. Looking ahead to the summer, we have already welcomed 6 interns to Galway City, where they'll be working in a wide variety of industries for the next 8 weeks. Dr. Rachel Branco is bringing her Neuroscience of Belonging 3-week summer course to Kylemore, and we are also excited for the return of the Engineering and Contemplative Ecology summer course. Finally, Professors Dion Bremeyer and Maria Tomasula will lead our undergrad creative writing programs and MFA programs, respectively, later in the summer. Next up, London.
Hi, everyone. So this year in London marks 25 years that Notre Dame has been at Fisher Hall. Our historic building has provided a base for countless students, currently serving 25% of each graduating class. This spring, we successfully hosted 3 advisory councils, Arts and Letters, Racklin Murphy Museum of Art, and the Hesburgh Libraries. These councils engaged in enriching discussions and activities, spending time with us in London, as well as with our partners, St Edmund's College, Cambridge. Our students also demonstrated the true spirit of Notre Dame by participating in the Catholic Cup, a football match against St Mary's Twickenham. This event was more than just a game. It was an effort to raise funds for the Cardinal Hume Centre, supporting vulnerable and homeless people in London. Thank you, and now on to Mexico.
We are delighted to share with you that it has been a very good year for the Mexico Global Center. Puebla program is almost 100% back to its way of working before the pandemic. Students are doing rotations at clinics and hospitals, and we are working with host families program again. We visited our host university in Guatemala, Universidad Landívar, where our students learn about climate change, and we were hosted by the Notre Dame Guatemalan Club. The 3-year pilot faculty exchange between Notre Dame and our host university in Puebla, UBAEP, ended this May. We have already seen a number of collaborations and benefits to ND faculty and students, the Spanish program, and community partners with whom the Spanish community engaged learning works. Andy Bullock from Harper Institute, Professor Eva Ciadula from the Economic Department, Jessica Harding from NDG, visited us for different purposes. And right now, Professor Shariar Mobasheri, Meilan Chang, and Thomas O'Sullivan are here participating at the 4th International Conference on Technology Applied to Health Science. 72 undergrad Mexican students sponsored by the governments of Yucatan and Querétaro in Mexico and the US government were at ND participating in a 3-week immersion designed as pipelines for graduate Notre Dame students enrollment. This summer, we have 6 GPE students placed at the AMCAM Tech of Mexico Co-Creando Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, Fulbright Mexico, and Iberoamericana University. 4 CSC volunteers and 2 more seminarians hosted by the Congregation of Holy Cross in Monterrey. 16 Mexican graduate students will be master and doctoral programs at Notre Dame this fall. That means 78% increase from last year. Next up is an update from Mumbai.
Hello from Mumbai. My name's Hayden, and I'm the new lead Programs and Communications Consultant for Notre Dame Mumbai. Here's a brief update from India. So this summer, we did welcome our first India Study Abroad summer group, and we had 7 students participating in a 3-week-long experiential learning course while exploring Mumbai, Delhi, and Agra, and that just concluded earlier today. And then we also welcomed our lone GPE student in Bangalore last week, and she's interning at the Parinam Foundation. Additionally, 16 ND Bridge students are presently in India, and they're based in 5 sites throughout the country. The Business Honors Group sent 8 students to Mumbai last month for a week-long excursion where they learned more about the Indian economy and different Indian businesses. Then we successfully recruited 3 students to campus for the newly launched Research Apprenticeship Program, and 2 of them were placed at the Lucy Family Institute for Data and Society, and 1 of them at ND Energy. And lastly, we also held a CSC conference at St. Xavier's College in Mumbai over spring break, which was titled Reimagining the Internet, and that kind of focused on the intersection of Catholic social teaching and technology. I will now pass it off to Nairobi.
Thank you, Hayden, and welcome to Notre Dame Global. Last week, Notre Dame Nairobi welcomed Faith Kipkule, a rising junior and science business major at Notre Dame, who will be interning for 7 weeks as an Adam Smith Scholar at the Institute for Economic Affairs in Nairobi. Nairobi will also be hosting 4 ND Bridge students for 8 weeks serving at the Gatoto Integrated School Project. Next up, Rome.
Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to update you on some of our recent projects. This year, our summer program has achieved record numbers with a total of 171 students. Programs included Summer 1 and 2, GPE, Classics, and Theology and Engineering students. At the end of May, Notre Dame Rome hosted the Kiosk Advisory Council and the launch of their 2030 strategic plan. This was an opportunity to engage the Kiosk School's partners in Europe and the Global South in collaborative efforts to address major global challenges to human dignity. Our ND Rome facility is polishing up thanks to the work of the Facility and Design Operation departments. The first floor of the annex has been renovated, opening doors, new classroom space, and 3 offices for multi-use. Finally, I would like to conclude by mentioning the imminent arrival of the first 4 students of our brand new graduate program for the upcoming academic year. The program was inaugurated this year in partnership with the graduate school, Notre Dame Global, and Center for Italian Studies. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Santiago.
Hi, everybody. We're entering a quite cold winter here in Chile, but we've kept our hearts warm with wonderful visits in the last couple months. In early March, we received the visit of 13 members of the Advisory Council on Graduate Research, just as we welcome a group of 21 students for the study abroad spring semester. We were also honored with the visit of Provost John McGreevy and his senior advisor, Maria Di Pasquale, with whom we had great meetings at UC Chile, our main partner here, and other 2 important higher education institutions. We also received the visit of Dean Marcus Cole and Paul Miller from the law school. Summer is off to a great start, and we're glad to share that we have 4 different programs running: Summer Study, GPE, ND Bridge, a service program with the Center for Social Concerns, and D Bridge, an undergraduate research program with ND and UC Chile Schools of Engineering. Well, all in all, we're definitely building bridges between Notre Dame and Chile, as we now have 50 ND undergraduate students for the first time. We also received the visit of Father Daniel Grudy, who came to launch the Spanish translation of his latest book on the theology of migration. Last but not least, we're excited to share that 3 Chilean students are studying at ND this coming August, and also Santiago is celebrating 30 years since the first group of students came to Chile. Now let's hear from Thais in Sao Paulo.
Good morning. Notre Dame São Paulo has been very active during the spring and summer semesters. 2 students from the semester study abroad program currently in Brazil, along with 17 students from the summer program and 3 from the GPE. NDG São Paulo hosted visits from professors of the STEAM program who conducted design thinking workshops. We also welcome Professor Jonathan Noble, who joined me at the Internationalization Conference in Brazil, FAUBAI, leading to numerous research collaboration opportunities. Additionally, we had a visit from Mick Mieder, who participated in a reception for newly admitted students, Brazilian students to NDG this year, with 24 enrolling, 65 yield. I also visited ND campus and had meetings with various departments to discuss mutual collaboration. Thank you. Up next is Study Abroad.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Study Abroad team, I'm happy to share with you our updates. First, we're excited to welcome the newest members of the Study Abroad team, Mary Majid and Natalie Gilbert. Welcome, Mary and Natalie. We had a strong start to the summer and excited to offer many wonderful programs around the world. There are a total of 28 summer study abroad programs in 25 different locations with over 550 students abroad. It will be a busy summer. A few of our new programs include Panama, Beijing, Vienna, Kylemore Neuroscience and Behavior, London Finance, London Marketing, and India Summer. Thank you to our global locations and teams around the world for making many of these programs possible. On campus, the Study Abroad team is busy supporting students abroad and those preparing to depart in the fall, as well as working on special projects and initiatives aimed at better serving our students in the upcoming school year. The team will continue to work towards our priorities and goals for the next academic year. After a busy year, we look forward to continuing working towards our mission. That wraps up our headline section of the Global Town Hall. Passing it back to you, Michael.
Thanks a lot, Brigida. I also want to give you a shout out for the work and leadership you've done with the Summer Study Abroad programs. It's a remarkable array of programs, and I want to laud and applaud everyone in study abroad for the largest cohort we've ever had in study abroad. It is for the summer. It is a huge task to pivot so quickly from the spring semester to summer, and everyone is doing that with a lot of grace and energy, and I really appreciate that. And I hear that from students, I hear that from their parents. So thank you, Brigida. Thank you, Study Abroad team. It's really an honor to call you colleagues. A couple of updates from my desk before we move to the second half of the program. I wanted to give you an update on some of the things that I have been working on behalf of the division and that I've been asked to work on by the president and the provost. First, some of you will have known this, I just came back from a 1.5-week trip to Rome and London and Cambridge. The UK portion of the trip was dedicated to supporting and being present for Father John's induction into the University of Cambridge St. Edmund's College Fellows. That was a wonderful event. There were several leaders from campus that attended that in support and honoring Father Jenkins, and there was a tremendous array of educational leaders, political leaders, business leaders, church leaders who came to support and celebrate Father John for that event. I also worked with Josh and Vittorio on things to do with Notre Dame London, and then moved on to Rome, where I want to thank Sylvia and her team, as I thank Josh and his team for their hospitality. I was in Rome with Father Austin, our Vice President for Mission Engagement and Church Affairs, and Marianne Kaur, our General Counsel. We had meetings with the Holy See in Vatican City to talk about our presence in Tantour. You heard Gabby mention earlier that we are heavily involved with supporting the work of the Latin Patriarch, Cardinal Pizzaballa, and the fact that we're doing two different events, one in Jerusalem and then, of course, one in Kylemore in support of that work is of interest to the Holy See, obviously. Those meetings were very successful, and it is good to be in good formation with the Holy See on our work in the Holy Land. More to say about that in the months to come. I also want to talk about another area that we continue to work on and work with our colleagues in, and that's with Ukrainian Catholic University. You will recall that the 2-year Standing in Solidarity with Ukraine initiative came to an end. That initiative had supported a number of undergraduate students to come that were hosted by both Hong's team, Leah's team, integrated into our community here. We had a number of faculty research projects that were supported by Geraldine and Jonathan and Maggie, that team. We also work to have administrators come and learn best practices from different divisions around campus. With that first phase of the initiative closed, I've been working with both the President's Office and Notre Dame Research and the Vice President there, Jeff Rhodes, to come up with a second initiative, a second phase, excuse me, of that initiative. We're in the process of finalizing those details. It will be focused on supporting research related to the ongoing trauma of the war and then hopefully preparing for the aftermath and resilience. I am looking forward to being able to announce what that second phase will look like to you later in the summer, but please know, as we are doing in Israel and Palestine, we're continuing to be engaged in Ukraine as well. Those commitments that we have are longstanding in all of those locations, and we are grateful for the partnerships that we have there. One other question that you might be asking, this has taken a lot of time as of late, given the current U.S. higher education landscape with regard to protests about Israel and Palestine, the University of Notre Dame has stood its ground that we do not support BDS, that we're interested, as Gabby was mentioning, in relation to the Latin Patriarch, in promoting dialogue between all sides to promote peace. That's important to Kroc, it's important to Keough, it's important to the University of Notre Dame. So we will continue to do that work. If you get asked questions about that, the answer is that we are looking to promote civil dialogue and civil discourse for advancing the common good. A couple of other quick announcements before we turn to the conversation I'm getting ready to have with Esteban about our work in Chile. One is that we have disbanded the Latin American and Caribbean Advisory Council. That was a council that Notre Dame Global has had for quite some time. And there was a decision made on the part of the university to disband that council and recreate a new council that will be focused on all of our work around the globe. It will be called the Worldwide Advisory Council, and that council will come into being in the fall. So my work right now has been intense with development to identify benefactors who are committed to global education in all of its forms, in all of its locations around the world. And I hope to announce the members of that council with you all very soon. Two last things. Later today, I will head up to Michigan because our new president, Father Bob Dowd, will be hosting the President's Leadership Council retreat. That is a 2.5-day affair where the PLC gathers and plans for the coming year. We're very excited to hear his new vision for the university and how we will be able to support and advance that. Later in the month of June, there will be a 2-day provost council retreat, which I will also be attending, and I will report back on both of those to this group later in the summer. Finally, within the President's Leadership Council and the leadership of the university, there are 3 changes. As you know, I spent most of last year working to curate and lead the Keough School of Global Affairs new dean search. Our new dean, Mary Gallagher, starts this week. She will be at the President's Leadership Council retreat. For those who might have missed that news, she is coming to us from the University of Michigan, and we couldn't be more delighted to have her. She will be a tremendous leader at KEO, and I hope many of you have the chance to work with her. There are two other changes on the President's Leadership Council. One is that because Father Dowd has assumed the presidency, the new religious superior of the Congregation of Holy Cross on campus is Father Greg Hake. He is a professor in the French department. So if you have not crossed paths with him, you may now in the future in his new role. And then finally, Mike Donovan stepped down as the VP who was responsible for leading the endowment. He's been replaced by Tim Dolezal, who has been a longtime member of that team. Those are my updates and announcements about work from my desk on a global sphere. We're going to be talking today with Juan Esteban Montes. What we decided, I want to say something about this change in format. You know, we have talked about, and we have had in the past, different leaders from around campus come and talk to us in the Global Town Hall, where we do a Q&A and we learn about their vision and we think about what it is that they're doing. What we thought it would be valuable was to do that from an internal perspective and actually have an in-depth conversation with a longtime leader here within the division. And Esteban was the perfect person to do that. For those of you that may not be aware, he has been a longtime member of the division and a member of the Notre Dame community. And as you heard Claudia mention earlier, we are celebrating 30 years of Notre Dame Santiago. And Esteban has been there from the beginning. So we thought this was a great opportunity, more or less. He'll tell you that in 1 second. But we thought it was really important to celebrate that leadership and also hear his stories and have the chance to ask questions from one of our sites. So with that, Esteban, welcome. Bienvenidos. It's great to talk to you today in this format, in this way. Do you want to start by talking about how you actually came to this position at the start of Notre Dame Santiago? Tell us about your start with Notre Dame and then your start with that relationship.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you all for listening. And I want to first start by thanking a couple people that have been working in producing this. So thanks especially to our Corey, that always is on top of everything and producing all these marvelous events. And also to Diane, and very special thanks to Joe, because she has been helping us produce some pieces that you can find in our website and other places about the visit of the provost early this year here in Chile. And to Mary Hendrickson, that also produced another piece. So thank you for all of them, to all of them for helping us with the communications. Well, I have been related to Notre Dame since very young age. I graduated from high school from one of the Holy Cross schools here in Santiago, St. George's. And so I knew about Notre Dame since my childhood. And first time I visited Notre Dame was in 1986. I was a student there, then here at the law school in UC Chile. And my dad was doing a sabbatical there, and I went there, spent a semester. So my relationship with Notre Dame directly comes from 86. Then after my family finished our some almost 9 years living in the U.S. studying, both my wife and myself, we came back to Chile in 2002. And at that time, Notre Dame was looking for someone to help with the Santiago program, that was at that time a consortium program with 2 or 3 other universities from the Midwest, Marquette University and University of Wisconsin and Milwaukee and others. So I started working for Milwaukee at that time, but it was on behalf of Notre Dame and serving Notre Dame students. Now, the reason why Notre Dame wanted to have someone from Notre Dame somehow was that Notre Dame was providing over 90% of the students coming to Chile, and they were not in control of the program because the management of the program was under Wisconsin, Milwaukee. So Notre Dame slowly wanted to have more of an impact and say in the administration of the program. Soon after that, we decided for the same reason that it didn't make sense to continue with the consortium because Notre Dame was really running everything, no? And so we terminated the consortium and we established our own program here. So this is how I got to Notre Dame Santiago in 2002.
It's a fascinating story. Before we get back to Notre Dame Santiago and your work there and how you've developed the programs and the center and our presence there as you have, maybe because you mentioned your wife and you living in the US, do you want to say a little bit about your family?
Oh, sure. First thing I want to say is that today is the birthday of my youngest. We have 4 kids, and the youngest is our daughter Clara, who's turning 19 today. And we have other 3 boys, older. The oldest one living in Germany for the last 7 years, and he's an actor. Then all of them have been studied at UC Chile, same as I did. Not my wife. My wife is a medical doctor from Universidad de Chile, the big public university, and the big competition. So she's always fighting with us. No, the Universidad de Chile is the top one, and so we have other 2 kids in the middle, both of them finishing this year, one engineering and the other physical education. And our youngest is just starting in Hispanic letters and to become a teacher eventually.
So thank you for that. It's good for people to know who is around you at home. When you started, you mentioned working with students from Milwaukee, students from Wisconsin, students from Marquette. But the job morphed over time to being solely about Notre Dame and about Notre Dame's presence and the Congregation of Holy Cross's presence in Santiago. Can you talk a little bit about how that came to be? Hold on. How that came to be, how it morphed into just a Notre Dame program?
Well, yeah, Notre Dame, as I mentioned, now Holy Cross was present in Chile for many years before. Notre Dame, Holy Cross came, I think, to Chile about 80 years ago to get involved in education. And after that, Notre Dame had a number of initiatives in sending people mainly to study and to do things with UC Chile. I was remembering that Hesberg started the Peace Corps in, I think, 61, very early 60s in Chile, as the first when the Peace Corps were established by President Kennedy. He immediately took the initiative with the Latin American faculty in Notre Dame to start a program here. So the involvement of Notre Dame and Holy Cross in Chile is long term. And so it made a lot of sense that Notre Dame will have its own program. Notre Dame has been fantastic in sending students abroad for many years. We know Notre Dame is leading in the world in terms of sending students abroad. And there were a number of students coming to Chile. The first cohort came in 94, and it was established by Father Don McNeil. Some of you might have known her. He's was a wonderful, super kind man. He started, I think, founded the Center for Social Concerns, and through that, he decided to create this study abroad program in Santiago. That was soon after the transition from the dictatorship to democracy in Chile, and made a lot of sense to get involved with the issues here. The Kellogg Institute has been involved with Latin American and the development of democracy and the transition from authoritarian regimes to democracy around the world, but especially in Latin America for a number of years. So there were so many reasons why it made sense for Notre Dame to establish its own program later on. At the beginning, probably because we didn't have, I don't know, or just I really don't know how the consortium was started with the other universities, but probably just out of goodwill and cooperation. Of a couple of those, Marquette is a Catholic university, Jesuit university. We still collaborate with them, and so it makes sense to collaborate with them, to have a presence of the Midwest in Chile. But then later on, we realized that it was the most adequate idea probably to have our own program that we could manage with our own values, with our own style, and having the possibility to grow. The other universities were not interested in growing into other areas of cooperation. They basically, as most of the other international universities present here, at least in Chile, they're mainly study abroad still now. Notre Dame wanted to grow in a different direction. We wanted to grow in research collaboration and graduate programs, so it made sense to have our own program.
I appreciate the way you frame that, and you've mentioned a couple of times about the dictatorship and the fact that the study abroad program was formed soon after the dictatorship came to an end and that democracy was reissued into Chile. I'm wondering how you think, it sounds as if that historical moment still continues to play out in how we think about our work, because you're right. The Kellogg Institute is world-renowned for its work in Latin America, world-renowned for its work in promoting democracy, in encouraging peace. And Santiago was sort of the ground center of that at the time after the Pinochet era came to an end. How do you think the work that Santiago has done during your tenure has followed up on that kind of legacy? How do you talk to students about democracy and dictatorship? How do you talk about human rights with them? How does that affect how you work with students? And how do you think about that work as it relates to the university's vision of being a place that heals, unites, unifies, advances?
Thanks. I think, well, it has to do a lot with the history of not just Chile, but Latin America. Any of us living in this part of the world know how fragile and vulnerable and important democracy is, and how crucial it is to protect human rights, and how important it is to, I don't know, take care and develop programs and capacities for improving human development and alleviating poverty and all these things. So, and these have been long-term goals and values that Notre Dame has always fostered, defended, and promoted around the world. So I think has been always critical in the experience of our students coming to Chile, the learning about and somehow getting an appreciation and looking and occasionally participating in different ways in the political, social life of and culture of Chile in this case. For many years at the beginning, probably the alleviation of poverty and the establishment of democracy was a key attraction for Notre Dame students. In the last many years, students were born long after the dictatorship ended, so they probably have never heard about Pinochet or Allende or any of them, and they come to Chile mainly to improve their Spanish and travel and hike and other things. But as soon as they come here, they realize how important for Chileans, for Chilean history, culture, discussions, for daily conversations with young people or older or their parents at their homestays, it is politics. We are in a daily basis discussing about how to improve our society, how to improve education, how to, the human rights legacy of a dictatorship is very, very long term. We are still dealing with human rights abuses, and finding the truth. And right now, this government has a search committee, a search system, to find some of the people that were disappeared during the dictatorship. We still haven't found them, and all of them, And so these are topics that are very relevant today, and students come to appreciate that. We include a number of activities for the students that connect them to these realities.
I appreciate what you're saying about trying to curate an experience for our students that allow them to apprehend those realities. Certainly you and Felipe and Claudia are an amazing team, and you're the first source of contact for students and how they're interpreting their study abroad experience and the culture and country that they find themselves living in. But you also mentioned family homestays as another place where they are getting a real dose of a real slice of life, a real sense of reality that they might not get from a La Católica classroom, or might not get from the three of you and how you work and how you envision the world. Can you talk a little bit about how the homestays and the supporting kinds of co-curricular activities you've done have opened up students' worlds to a wider Chile and to a wider understanding of themselves and their place in the world?
Sure. Our program here in Chile, or our programs, have been always very immersive. We have never decided to, for example, have programs fully in English. No, all of our programs are completely 100% basically in Spanish. And we want to, as long as possible, as much as possible, to keep it in this way. And we want the students to have, whether they come for a full semester or a shorter period of time for a summer program or GP or whatever, we want all of our students to have a very immersive experience here in Chile. As I mentioned, pretty much all the students want to improve their Spanish. So one reason or one way, or the best way to improve their Spanish is to be fully immersed in a Spanish-speaking environment. And living with a Chilean host family is very important for that. They get to know how Chilean families live, eat, and celebrate birthdays or baptisms or whatever. How they think about religion or politics or culture or music or whatever. So they have a great, I think it is a fantastic opportunity for the students to get to understand and immerse themselves into a different culture. And so families are very critical for us. They also are a support network for our students. If they get sick, if they are anxious, if they are whatever, having different kinds of health issues or psychological or adjustment issues, whatever, families are very, very important partners and support for our students. So we try to do all we can to immerse our students in Chilean life, culture, language, everything.
I think you all do an outstanding job of that. I think it's also important because not everyone in the Zoom room might be aware that you also are introducing them to cultures within cultures. By that, I mean, you have a pretty unique orientation program that immediately takes them out of Santiago and the urban center and the capital of the country to a radically different part of Chile that they probably haven't imagined in their minds. Do you want to share a little bit about dimensions and scope of that program before we turn back to Santiago?
Sure, absolutely. That we call the pre-program, and ever since the very beginning in '94, we have collaborated with the Maryknoll for many years. We collaborated with the Maryknoll congregation, Maryknoll lay missioners, through some alumni of Notre Dame who at that time were living in Chile. And they created for us, and we jointly created and managed for many, many years up to now, this pre-program experience, which involves bringing our students for 3 weeks, basically, to a rural area. So when they come, they first are bused into the mountains in a retreat house without internet, which now is very important, without cell phone signal, which is now a crisis for the students probably. But and it is a big change. But for the students, it's fantastic because they get to know each other and to form a sense of community and a network of mutual support that lasts, and friendships that last throughout the semester and actually for life in many cases. So that is a very enriching experience, and it is mainly an intensive Spanish time, and also getting to know the culture. And then they live for other 10 days with rural families, farmers and small farmers in a very small town in some location 4 hours south of Santiago. So it is a very unique opportunity for the students because, as many of you know, Latin America is typically are very centralized countries with one huge city, Santiago, Mexico City, Sao Paulo, whatever, and many times we kind of think that the big city is the country, but there are realities, there are different cultures, the people there talk differently, they celebrate different, they dance differently, they eat differently. So for them, it's a very unique experience of getting to know Chilean farmers and having a perspective different from the metropolis.
You were the architect of that program. You've imagined all of these things to try and give our students the best kind of experience. But as you mentioned earlier, unlike a lot of other universities that are focused solely on study abroad, you have also been instrumental, essential in developing the relationship with your alma mater, La Católica. You shepherded recently 10 years of Luxich Foundation grants that brought 100 faculty members from each direction to come and partner together and to learn in each other's institutions, producing articles and workshops and symposia and conferences and new knowledge. You are responsible for helping to shepherd one of the few dual degree programs that we have. You were the visionary behind that. Can you talk about how you have shepherded that institutional relationship with La Católica, UC Chile, as they've rebranded themselves, and why that relationship has been so important and how you've led it?
Thank you. When I came to Notre Dame to work for Notre Dame Santiago 20 plus years ago, I since the very beginning I realized that our main strategy, or I thought at least that the main strategy for Notre Dame in Chile should be to develop a very, very strong strategic, long-term, very multi-layer, comprehensive relationship with UC Chile. The main reason is because UC Chile is the main Catholic university, is the most important Catholic university in the Southern Hemisphere. And it is a very top research university, but also a very committed Catholic university. And there are very few of those in the world. There are not many. The cluster of really practicing committed Catholic universities that are at the same time top research universities in the world are very few. There are many Catholic universities, but they are either not really too committed to their mission for historical reasons, or they are not top research universities. So there are very few top Catholic research universities around the world. And Notre Dame, of course, is probably the most important of them all in the world. And Católica, UC Chile is the most important here in Chile and most likely in the Southern Hemisphere. So it made a lot of sense to me to develop a very profound strategic relationship with them. And at that time, we asked some experts, here, local experts, in communications and things for advice, whether this was a good strategy or not. We were also dealing with the fact that Notre Dame was not well known here in Chile. And at that time, there was this very deep crisis of the Catholic Church here in Chile. And some of them, actually most of them, advised us not to go too deep with the UC Chile. No, we don't want it to get identified mainly as Catholic university. I was never convinced by them. And in spite of the crisis of the church, in spite of the deep secularization that Chile has been going through, I think it makes still a lot of sense to have a very important partnership with UC Chile. That doesn't mean that we do not collaborate. We have always collaborated with several other universities, and we continue to do that. But for example, to establish a dual PhD, you need trust. No, we don't want to sign agreements here and there or tons of them that have no impact. No, we really want to have real people, faculty, students collaborating, and to develop meaningful relationships, a real collaboration. You need trust. You need friends, in the other location. You need partners that really care about you, that know you. You need the leaders involved. We need the deans, the presidents, the vice presidents, but also and all the way to students involved. And I always thought that it was very important to establish this kind of partner. We cannot be everywhere, and I wish we were able to be in every single country in Latin America and around the world and in Africa and Asia, everywhere, and in collaborating with hundreds or thousands of universities. But that's not possible. So I always thought that it was a good idea to go deeper with the one partner.
We're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you two last questions. You have been doing this for over 20 years, and you still find it exhilarating and fresh, and your smile says that to everyone in the room, and I think that's a wonderful thing. What's your secret to still loving the work that you do?
Oh, I think it is people. It is people. No, I just get fresh air every day from students, from leaders like you and so many others that have visited. The visit of the provost here, John McGree, was so refreshing. It is a lot of work. We all know that hosting authorities and councils, whatever, it takes a lot of work, but also it's so rewarding. We, I think, in Notre Dame are very blessed with the kind of people, the community that we have, the kind of students that we have, the staff that we have, all the friends here. Just having this, the listening to the news from each of the locations here, it gives me a lot of energy. So it is mainly people, the kind of people that we have in Notre Dame that many times we take for granted, but I think we have a very unique community. And secondly, I think it is the mission. I strongly believe in the mission of Notre Dame, and I believe in education and in higher education and in global education. So I strongly believe, and more so Catholic. I am Catholic myself, and it makes a lot of sense to me. My vocation as a lawyer, then a political scientist, and finally as an educator connects to my faith and to my strongest beliefs. So I thank everybody, the world and God and my friends and colleagues and family every day for this opportunity to serve and to work with students.
That's a wonderful way to end it. I will echo you in that I want to thank you, not just on my behalf, but on behalf of everyone in the Zoom room for your leadership over this extended period of time. And I know I'm also thanking you on behalf of the students who have studied with you on the program and who have taken your classes or who have traveled or hiked or talked with you or cried in your office or whatever it is that you've done. You've been a wonderful mentor to them. You've created a program that is legendary within the Notre Dame community. And you're right, it is the people, and you're one of those people. And you've hired fantastic team members and Felipe and Claudia. And we learn as much from you as you were saying you learn from others. So I just want to thank you and ask everyone in the Zoom room to thank you for that leadership and for sharing your wisdom today.
I thank you, Michael, and thank everybody. It's always a great pleasure to work with this fantastic team in ND Global.
We hope we can continue to share these stories with one another about what brings us to work, what makes work rewarding, how we feel we're having an influence in the world and fulfilling our vocation, whatever that might be, wherever we are in the world. But that's all we have time for today. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day or evening, wherever you are. Please stay safe and be well, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody, for your great work. Go Irish.